June 2014, Las Vegas. Ilya only had 3 minutes to pull himself together. 2 minutes and 50 seconds, actually. He was gripping the counter in a bathroom backstage at the NHL Awards, trying to force down the panic that had taken hold of him. It had been simmering all day, finally boiling over when he'd spotted Shane Hollander backstage. It had been a wild few months. He was a Stanley Cup champion now, and it intermittently felt incredible and surreal and empty. His father was well. If there had been any uncertainty about that before, going back to Russia for the Olympics had ended it. It had to be Alzheimer's, and Ilya needed to deal with it because no one else would. Not his brother, not his father's wife. They both insisted that nothing was wrong with Grigory Rozanov. Ilya was flying to Moscow next week, first back to Boston tomorrow to pack and take care of some things before leaving for the rest of the summer. He wished he could stay in Boston or go somewhere else entirely, somewhere relaxing or fun. When was the last time he'd enjoyed a summer? He'd bet Hollander enjoyed every moment of his summers, soaking up the sun along with the adoration of his friends and family at his stupid effing lake house thing. Not a care in the world. Ilya hadn't seen Hollander off the ice since the Olympics, hadn't spoken to him since then. He thought about him every day. He thought about the way Hollander had found him in the stands of the Sweden versus Finland game in Sochi, and had asked if he was all right. He thought about how strong the urge had been for Ilya to wrap Hollander in his arms and just hold him. Pull him against his chest so Ilya could bury his face in his short, glossy hair and breathe him in. It had been so effing scary, that urge. The way Ilya's heart had skipped when he'd spotted Hollander approaching him, and the way he'd wanted to tell him everything. Hollander was waiting for him now, not because he wanted to see him, but because they were presenting an award together. Most sportsmanlike, which Ilya had to admit was funny. He told himself all day that it would be fine, seeing Hollander again. But as soon as he'd laid eyes on him, Ilya had felt an overwhelming need to hide. He dashed away, hopefully without Hollander seeing him. So now Ilya was hiding in a bathroom when he was supposed to be standing at Hollander's side, about to walk onto a stage to play up their rivalry for laughs. He stared at himself in the mirror. Despite his father's unhappiness with the length of Ilya's hair, Ilya hadn't cut it since well before the Olympics, maybe because of his father's unhappiness. It was now long enough that he often tied it back as he had tonight. He thought it looked good with the tuxedo, distinguished, sexy. He could really stand to get laid tonight. He'd love to stop thinking for a while. He checked the time on his phone and decided that yes, he needed to get out there. Uncurling his fingers from the counter, he straightened and rolled his shoulders back. He took one slow breath, forced his face into a more relaxed, unbothered expression, and left the bathroom. He spotted Hollander at the edge of the stage, glancing around frantically. Ilya sauntered up behind him, looking for me. Hollander spun around. He was wearing a tuxedo and a scowl, and his hair was neatly parted on the side like a child who was getting his school picture taken. F. Rozanov, what the F, we're on in like 5 seconds. Every time Ilya encountered Hollander, whether on the ice or off, he hoped that maybe this time he wouldn't find him so effing irresistible. He hoped he wouldn't want to watch the irritation in Hollander's dark eyes shift to desire. He hoped he wouldn't want to be thrown against a wall by the man, and let him take his anger out on Ilya for a bit. This time, like every time, those hopes were swiftly shattered. 50 seconds, Ilya said calmly, we are fine. Hollander's mouth dropped open, eyes blazing. Does it matter to you that everyone backstage has been having a heart attack looking for you? Not really. At the moment, Ilya didn't care about anything other than the way Hollander's freckles looked darker than usual, as if he'd been out in the sun recently. Where were you anyway? Hollander asked tightly. Ilya went with the most infuriating answer. Busy. Hollander's eyes narrowed. Oh yeah, with who? God, was he jealous? Did he hate knowing that Ilya slept with other people? It was dangerous to even consider. We're on. He walked quickly onto the stage, wishing he could see the furious expression on Hollander's face as he trailed behind him. The audience, most of whom hated Ilya, loved Hollander and were jealous of both of them, applauded as he made his way to the podium. Ilya found the teleprompter with their dialogue and took a breath. He wasn't a fan of reading English aloud to an audience. Sportsmanship, he said cheerfully, is very important. The audience laughed. I didn't know you knew what that word meant, Rozanov, Hollander read. He sounded authentically angry with Ilya. Of course I know. It is like when I steal the puck from you and score a goal, you are not a sore loser about it. Or when I score a hat trick against your team, you graciously accept defeat. Or, Ilya said in his most obnoxious tone, when I win the Stanley Cup, you are impressed by my achievement. That got a lot of laughter. Anyway, Hollander said grumpily, here are this year's nominees. Hey, Ilya said, still reading from the teleprompter, before we give out the award, can I get a selfie? What? Just a quick one. I mean, when will this happen again, right? Fine, but hurry up. Ilya was excited for this part. He took out his phone, actually opened the camera app, then wrapped one arm around Hollander's shoulders while holding the phone out with the other. He could see Hollander's irritated expression on the phone screen. Ilya took several photos. It was stupid wanting to have them, but that didn't stop him. He did want the photos, even if Hollander's face was all tight with disapproval. Even if Hollander never wanted to touch him again, Ilya would have these photos. He curled his fingers against the soft fabric of Hollander's tuxedo jacket and into the hard muscle beneath. He turned his head just slightly to bring his lips momentarily closer to Hollander's hair. He smelled like mint and citrus, just as he had the last time Ilya had been this close to him, when Ilya had kissed him breathless before pushing him onto a bed. Hollander's irritation was so strong that Ilya could practically see the waves of it radiating from his tense shoulders. Ilya wanted all of it. He wanted Hollander to unleash it on him, then kiss him and order Ilya to F him. Ilya wanted Hollander to overwhelm him until he couldn't think of anything else. Ilya let his fingers drag across the back of Hollander's neck as he removed his arm from around his shoulders. He didn't miss the tiny gasp that escaped from Hollander's lips. Ilya's own lips twitched with the urge to stretch into a wide grin. When they finished their spiel, and after Hollander grumpily thrust the trophy into the winner's hands, a forward for Edmonton, nice guy, whatever, Hollander turned on his heel and marched off the stage. Ilya sauntered after him. Hollander entered the same backstage bathroom Ilya had been hiding in earlier. Ilya silently counted to 10, then followed him, not at all surprised that Hollander had left the door unlocked. Ilya barely managed to lock the door behind him before he had Hollander pressed against a wall. Hollander's dark eyes gleamed with anger and lust, a combination that Ilya had never been able to resist, a combination that Ilya had missed. He'd missed him. Well, Ilya asked. Well, what? Ilya's stomach flipped and his cock twitched. This effing guy. Ilya decided to push his luck and pointed to the floor. Are you not going to suck my dick? F you, why don't you suck mine? That definitely wasn't going to happen in this gross bathroom, but Ilya kept his expression neutral and hummed softly, as if considering the offer. Helplessly, he brushed his fingertips along the sharp line of Hollander's smooth jaw. Maybe ask nice. Ilya wondered if he had pushed too far, if anger would overtake the lust in Hollander's dark eyes and Ilya would be shoved backward, if Ilya would have to watch him walk away. Please. It was barely a whisper, but Hollander's single word rocketed through Ilya. He managed to maintain his cool exterior, but barely. Instead of giving in to what they both wanted, Ilya pushed further. You want me to kneel on this dirty bathroom floor? You have to ask nicer than that, Hollander. Please, Hollander said again, his voice strained and shaking, probably from the effort it took to not punch Ilya, or to not die of embarrassment. Get on your knees and suck my dick, please. Ilya raked his gaze over Hollander's body, pausing at the obvious bulge in his tuxedo pants. Ilya cupped him through the sleek fabric, and enjoyed the way Hollander had to close his eyes, and the way he gasped. Ilya leaned in, hovering his lips next to Hollander's ear, and said, no. Hollander's reaction was even better than Ilya had hoped. His eyes flew open, brow pinched with confusion. What? No, I will not do anything to you in here. Ilya was suddenly struck by a fantastic idea. We will go back out there and sit in our seats and then go to the party. And then, when you have been waiting all night for it, you will come to my hotel room, and I will maybe do more than suck your dick. You're really going to leave me like this? Hollander asked, stalling pointlessly. Yes, for now. Another few seconds of hesitation, and then, with an absurd amount of irritation, fine. Or I will make a deal. If you win MVP tonight, I will blow you, F you, whatever you want. Hollander stared at him, and Ilya could practically see the suggestion rolling around in his brain. He would say yes to this. He wouldn't be able to resist such an offer, not when Ilya had made it a competition with a winner and a loser. And if you win? Ilya grinned. He knew this man so well, without really knowing him at all. I will let you know. Now would be the moment to make his exit. Leave Hollander confused and horny without showing how badly Ilya wanted him to, how much he'd missed him. But Ilya couldn't resist stealing a kiss, now that he finally had him alone. Before he could overthink it, he grabbed Hollander's lapel and kissed him. It was hard and messy and probably more urgent than Ilya would have liked. It still wasn't the way he wanted to kiss Hollander. But if he kissed him the way he wanted to, a slow exploration of Hollander's mouth that would provide Ilya with enough memories to get him through the long summer ahead, they would never leave this bathroom. It was effing stupid. Ilya let him go. Good luck tonight. He left without looking back. Why was Ilya so nervous? He won the MVP award, of course, and now he was waiting for his real prize. Hookups didn't ever make him nervous, and Hollander was just a hookup. More interesting, maybe, than other people Ilya slept with. More fun to tease, and yes, hotter, objectively. But still, there was no reason for the butterflies in Ilya's stomach. In his hotel suite, Ilya removed his tuxedo jacket and his bow tie, then his shoes and socks. He felt overheated when he wanted to seem perfectly in control of everything, including his own body temperature. He unbuttoned the top 3 buttons on his shirt, then, after a quick glance in the full-length mirror, a 4th button. He smoothed his palms over his slicked back hair, tamming any strays that had escaped. "Jane, I'm here." Ilya smiled at his phone, the butterflies settling immediately. He unlocked the door and opened it just in time for Hollander to grab the handle on the other side. Ilya walked to the middle of the room and turned to face him. Hollander was still wearing his tuxedo jacket, but had removed his tie. His cheeks were slightly pink, either from rushing up to Ilya's room or from alcohol. "Here to congratulate me," Ilya said calmly. "I guess." Ilya playfully spread his arms, waiting for Hollander to actually say the word. "Congratulations," he said, not sounding like he meant it at all. "Thank you, now take off your clothes." To Ilya's delight, he obeyed immediately, and in a very Shane Hollander way. Each piece of his suit was folded flat and draped over the back of the sofa, as if he'd need to wear the tuxedo again tomorrow or something. Ilya watched him, finding the whole thing more amusing than seductive. "Shouldn't we?" Hollander said when he was wearing only his boxer briefs. "I mean, there are windows." "We are on the 16th floor." "Yeah, but..." So much for effing Hollander against the window with the Vegas strip stretching out beneath them. Oh well, Ilya had lots of ideas. He silently headed for the bedroom, letting Hollander follow behind him. He drew the curtains closed, but didn't let Hollander get too comfortable. "On the bed," Ilya said firmly, without looking at him. When he finally turned to face him, Hollander was already on the bed, still in his underwear. His skin looked flawless and golden in the low lamplight, his hair slightly disheveled from undressing. He was absently chewing on his lower lip and staring at Ilya as if awaiting further instruction. Ilya left the room. He shouldn't have invited Hollander to his room. They managed to avoid each other for months, and Ilya could have simply let that continue. Forever, because that was what made sense. Shane Hollander sprawled out on Ilya's bed, offering himself as an effing prize, did not make sense. The way Ilya was more tempted to gather Hollander in his arms and hold him all night than F him didn't make sense. The way Ilya knew that if he kissed him he'd never stop didn't make sense. He needed to be careful tonight. Ilya poured vodka into a glass, downed it, then poured another. Finally, after a long, steadying breath, he returned to the bedroom, drink in hand. Hollander was still on the bed, still waiting. God. Ilya sat in a chair at the end of the bed and silently took a sip of vodka. "I am impressed with this hotel. This vodka is not so easy to find." "Okay," Hollander said. There was clear impatience in his tone, which only made Ilya want to stretch this out more. Instead, he decided to test the limits of Hollander's obedience. "Touch yourself." Hollander's eyes went wide. What? This wasn't something they'd ever done before. Maybe Hollander would give his own dick a few lazy strokes while waiting for Ilya to put a condom on, or a few desperate strokes to get himself over the edge while Ilya plowed him. But not like this. "Show off for me," Ilya clarified. "Let me watch you." Hollander did not seem any less confused. "You, what?" "Is my special night, Hollander. I want to watch you." Blush spread across Hollander's cheeks and down his neck to his chest. I've never. Of course he hadn't, which is exactly why Ilya wanted him to now. For him, "I thought maybe not, so show me. How do you touch yourself, Shane Hollander?" For a long, tense moment, both men were silent, their gazes locked. Ilya certainly wasn't going to be the one to speak first. He took another sip of his drink and waited. "Give me some of that vodka then," Hollander finally said. "I'm too sober for this." Ilya wanted to pump his fist in celebration, but he kept his cool. "No, the vodka you can have after, as reward." "F you." Ilya was having a great time now. He'd forgotten how much fun it was with Hollander. "Is good vodka, come on, look at your poor dick, Hollander. Give him some attention, yes." The bulge in Hollander's underwear was hard to ignore. As much as Hollander looked like he was going to punch Ilya, he must have been dying to touch himself. "Close your eyes," Ilya said encouragingly. "Pretend you are alone. How do you start?" Finally, slowly, Hollander brought his hand to his stomach. He kept his eyes closed as he dragged his fingers gently over his skin, barely touching. It was somehow sexier than anything Ilya had ever seen in his life. Hollander was nervous, but he was doing this for Ilya. Ilya let himself look at Hollander, trying to memorize every detail of that moment. He wanted to kiss him. He wanted to roll on top of him and kiss him until they both fell asleep. He wanted to kiss him in the morning and all day tomorrow. Ilya left the bed. He got cleaned up and he brought a washcloth and a glass of vodka back to the bedroom for Hollander. He brought a cigarette and a lighter for himself. He wanted Hollander to be annoying about the cigarette, though Ilya knew it wouldn't make him like Hollander less. Hollander didn't say anything about the cigarette. Even when Ilya released long, obnoxious clouds of smoke over the bed they were both reclining on. Hollander quietly sipped his vodka, while Ilya waited for the moment to crumble apart. "Are you heading back soon?" Hollander asked. "Back to Russia for the summer." "Are their moment ruined?" "Yes." "Oh." Ilya was surprised when, after a moment, Hollander asked, "Why?" Irritated, Ilya gave a short answer, "It is home." "But do you like going there?" Hollander may as well have stabbed Ilya in the gut. Ilya could practically feel the blade twisting, tearing up his insides. He hoped Hollander didn't notice his shaking fingers as he brought the cigarette back to his lips. In that moment, Ilya wanted to tell Hollander everything. Instead, he closed his eyes and said, "I should sleep." "Oh," Hollander sounded disappointed, or maybe just embarrassed. "Yeah, I need to get going anyway." Ilya kept his eyes closed, so he wouldn't need to watch him leave. "Yes." He heard Hollander moving around the hotel room, first in the bedroom, then in the main room, gathering his clothes. Ilya stayed on the bed. "See you," Hollander said from the other room. Ilya dropped his cigarette butt into Hollander's not-empty vodka glass, watching the ash turn something pure and perfect into something dark and ugly. "Goodbye, Hollander."